Happy Wednesday. I am going to post in the stream to just give you guys an update on what you should be doing today and what we're going to do tomorrow. But because of the snow day, things got a little bit messed up. So today, you are welcome to start working on the mixer packet questions 1 through 5, but that will be something that we will work on Thursday and Friday, whether you're in person or your RAM connection. And so today I want you to focus on listening to the recording and taking notes. And again, if you are a 2 this week, you are in charge of writing the main journal entry, and that is due sometime today. So when you finish, just to move things along quicker, just email your buddy saying done, and then they, get that notification, and then they can start working on their response. The response is due sometime Friday. So I don't think I won't give class time to listen to the recordings. You're going to have to do this today at home. Listen to this recording, page 107 to 117. Today's date, Wednesday, 2/18. So to review the notes that I have from Monday is we are still into the predictions and who do we think's writing these notes. And we left off with Miranda talking to Marcus about time travel. And then the laughing man kind of came up to Marcus and then he walked away. And then they walked into the school. So it's kind of cliffhanger, like what's really going on here? And I know we all have our theories and predictions. So let's see if we learn more today that will maybe confirm our prediction or we're going to start changing. Okay, here we go. I hope you guys had a good snow day yesterday. I did. I went and got my nails done. That was fun. And that's pretty much it. I relaxed and watched TV, which is just what I needed, was to just lay on the couch and not get up. The first proof. What did I tell you? Jimmy said at lunch that same day, happily slapping the counter with both hands. They never think you actually count the bread. Never in a million years would they think you'd count. The bread order had come up 2 rolls short. I'd counted it twice to make sure. Jimmy swaggered over to the phone with a huge smile on his face. You just made his day, Colin whispered. Maybe his whole week. He was folding slices of ham and laying them out neatly on little squares of waxed paper. I watched Colin's fingers as they picked up each piece of ham. He didn't just smack them in half like I saw Jimmy do. Colin sort of bent each slice into a pretty fan shape. Once I started watching, I couldn't stop. It was hypnotizing, somehow. I talked to Anne-Marie last night, I said. I think she's coming back to school tomorrow. Colin nodded. Good. It was hard to imagine him sneaking around and leaving a rose on anyone's doormat, but I guess boys will surprise you sometimes. Do you think Colin is the one that really left the rose? Hey, he said suddenly, you know what? I'm sick of cheese and lettuce sandwiches. He glanced guiltily at Jimmy, who was still on the phone talking about his missing rolls. Want to go get a slice of pizza? We acted like everything was normal, making our sandwiches and wrapping them up like we planned to eat them at school. And then we ran to the pizza place down the block. It was crazy, but we felt like we were doing something wrong. We rushed back to school, stuffing pizza in our mouths and crouching down low when we passed Jimmy's window so he couldn't see us. Somehow we became so completely hysterical that we were still laughing what Mom calls fits of helpless laughter when we got to school. Do you have a connection to that? I feel like that happens when I'm super tired and I just start giggling and laughing, and then I can't stop laughing and I really don't even know why I'm laughing. Then you start crying because you're laughing so hard. You're late again. Oh, wait, hold on. We must have sort of burst into the classroom because everyone looked up from their silent reading to stare at us. Julia rolled her eyes. You're late again, Mr. Tompkins said, and then the whole feeling dissolved and we went to find our books. I sat with my book open on my desk, thinking about the note in my coat pocket. 3 p.m. today, Colin's knapsack. Your first proof. I had to get a look inside Colin's bag to find whatever would or wouldn't be waiting for me. At three on the dot, I went to the coat closet and grabbed my knapsack to go home. Collins was just a few hooks away. I could hear him talking to Jay Stringer in the back of the room near Main Street. Julie was standing with him, trying again to convince Jay about her stupid tinfoil UFO and how it was going to fly up and down the street on a stupid invisible wire. She still hadn't gotten her project approved. I reached over and unzipped Colin's bag. There was his denim-covered binder stuffed with falling out papers, a paperback, and the cheese sandwich he hadn't eaten at lunch, soaking through its paper and smelling like pickles. Nothing unusual. I felt around the bottom of the bag and touched some keys on a ring, resting in a pile of dirt or maybe crushed leaves. I tipped the bag toward the light and saw that it wasn't a pile of dirt. It was a pile of crumbs. Breadcrumbs. I patted the back of the bag, felt a lump, reached behind his binder, and pulled out 2 of Jimmy's rolls. They were flaking all over the place. Colin must have grabbed them straight out of the delivery bag when nobody was looking. So the 2 missing rolls that Jimmy found when he counted the roll order. Okay, what are we reading? 117. Things you give away. I dropped the rolls back into Colin's bag, pulled my coat on, threw my knapsack over one shoulder, and took the stairs 2 at a time. There was a mob of kids outside, like always, pushing and laughing and standing around talking, even though it was still freezing and had started to rain. I took a minute to look for Sal, like I always do. No sign of him. I wound Mom's scarf around my ears, turned north, and started walking up the hill to Anne Marie's. It didn't make sense. Not that Colin had taken the rolls. In fact, that was just the kind of thing I expected from Colin. But my brain was yelling all kinds of other questions to me. How could anyone possibly have known that Colin would take the rolls? And when had the note been put in my coat pocket? It didn't occur to me that you could have left it there the same day you put the first note in my library book about the squirrel village. I didn't get that at all until much later. And why me? I jumped a gutter full of rainwater and took the last steps to Anne Marie's building. Why was I the one getting notes? Why did I have to do something about whatever bad thing was going to happen? I didn't even understand what I was supposed to do. Write a letter about something that hadn't happened yet? Miranda, my brain said, nothing is going to happen. Someone is playing with you. But what if my brain was wrong? What if someone's life really needed saving? What if it wasn't a game? What do you guys think? Predictions changing? Are we still staying true on who we think's writing the notes? Anne Marie's doorman waved me in. Upstairs, her father answered the door with an unlit cigar in his mouth and asked me whether I wanted some cold noodles with sesame sauce. No thanks. Fizzy lemonade, then? He helped me tug my wet coat off. The lining was all stuck to my sweater. So I walked into Anne Marie's room, balancing my lemonade in an ice water for her, along with a dish of almonds that her father had somehow warmed up. Warm almonds sounds kind of yuck, but in reality, they taste pretty good. Anne Marie was still in her nightgown, but she looked normal. My dad won't stop feeding me, she said, taking a handful of nuts. And he won't let me get dressed. He says pajamas are good for the soul. Isn't that so dumb? I sat on the edge of her bed. Is that the rose? It was on her bedside table in a tiny silver vase, just the kind of thing they would have at Anne Marie's house. She nodded and looked at it. The rose was perfect, just opening like a picture in a magazine. I tried to draw it, Anne Marie said. She held out a little spiral pad of heavy white paper. She sketched the rose in dark pencil over and over. Wow, I said. I didn't know you could draw like that. She flipped the pad closed. My dad shows me tricks sometimes. There are a lot of tricks to drawing. I can show you. But I knew I could never draw like that. For the same reason, I couldn't do Jimmy's V-cut or get my Main Street diagrams to look good. Hey, I said, maybe your dad left you the rose. Maybe, she frowned, and I felt a little piece of myself light up. He says he didn't, though. But if but it would explain how the person got upstairs, why the doorman didn't buzz you. I could feel my lips making a smile. Your dad is so nice, it has to be him. I was miserable, sitting on the edge of her bed in that puddle of meanness, but I couldn't help it. I didn't want Anne Marie's rose to be from Colin. Maybe I couldn't stand for her to have so many people and to be able to draw and cut bread on top of that. Maybe I wanted Colin for myself. Anne Marie's dad stuck his head through the doorway. Anybody need a refill? No thanks, I said, even though my glass was empty and my back teeth were packed with chewed nuts. I have to go. Stay for 5 more minutes, he said. I put your coat in the dryer. So I had to sit there thirsty, and then I had to put on my dry, warm, but still dirty coat and take the elevator down to Anne Marie's lobby, where the lamps glowed yellow and the doorman remembered my name. It had stopped raining. It was too cold for the boys to hang around in front of the garage. There was hardly anyone out on the street at all. The light in Belle's window looked friendly in the late afternoon gloom, but I thought of going in. I had been telling Belle the story of my book, a little bit more and a little bit more. I told her how Meg helped her father escape, and I discovered the first battle with IT, which is this giant evil brain that wants to control everyone. I knew Belle would give me some vitamin C's and maybe a paper cup of hot chocolate, and it was getting late, and I didn't want to have to walk down our block in the complete dark, so I decided to keep going. At first I thought the laughing man wasn't on the corner, but then I saw him sitting on the wet curb, leaning against the mailbox and just watching me walk toward him. For 1 second there was something familiar about him. I noticed for the first time how old he looked. I thought about what Louisa had said, about how old people can't get enough heat. Maybe I felt sorry for him. Maybe he reminded me of Mr. Nunzi from upstairs, or maybe I wanted to do something good, to make up for being kind of a jerk to Anne Marie, even if she didn't really know it. Anyway, I spoke to him. Hey, I said, opening my bag, you want a sandwich? I still had the cheese sandwich I hadn't eaten at lunch. I held it out. It's cheese and tomato. Is it on a hard roll? He sounded tired. I can't eat hard bread. Bad teeth. It isn't hard, I said. It was one of my best V-cuts ever, probably a little soggy now, with the juice from the tomatoes soaking into the bread all afternoon. He reached up with one hand, and I put the sandwich in it. What was the burn scale today? He asked. I'm not sure, I said, pretending I knew what he was talking about. I didn't have a chance to, check. Rain is no protection, he said, looking at the sandwich in his hand. They should have had the dome up. Maybe tomorrow, I said. He looked up at me, and suddenly he seemed familiar again. It was something about the way his eyes took me in. He said, I'm an old man, and she's gone now, so don't worry, okay? I won't. He nodded. Smart kid. And that is where we're going to leave off. So tons of questions are going in my mind. I'm trying to connect the dots and try to figure out what clues were given in that chapter to help me with my prediction of who's really writing these notes. I hope your guys' brains are going and you're trying to figure this out just like I am. Have a great day.